Can you imagine any other actors in the roles of Captain America and Iron Man other than Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr.? Well, Marvel, as confirmed by Kevin Feige, has decided to recast these legacy characters and that of X-Men after Avengers Secret Wars. And moving on to DC, after the success of Superman, DC Studios has tapped Anna Noguera to pen the script for Wonder Woman. And last but not the least, Boss Chick, a Liberian movie, is releasing or has premiered at the Silverbird Cinemas and has received high praise from the cinema outlets. These and more from the film mandates right here on this very episode. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. And thank you for joining me for this very episode. It's I'm starting on a very sad note, and it's yesterday we received a very sad news, and this has to do with the demise of Malcolm Jamal Warner, and he died at at the age of 54 on a vacation with the family when he tragically drowned. And for those who were young, particularly in the 90s, where you had opportunity to watch the Cosby Show, he acted as Theo Huxtable, and also in the early 2000s, he did a show with Eddie Griffin, the stand-up comedian, called Malcolm and Eddie, and he's been performing in several shows from TV to, I mean, guest appearances in television series, and also that of some films. He also ended up starting a podcast to discuss mental health with two of his close friends. Unfortunately, he he passed on yesterday after the incident that happened whilst on vacation with his family. And I can't imagine what the family is going through at the moment and the impact this has had on the African community. I wouldn't just say African American community, but because those of us even here in Africa also enjoy the Cosby Show very well and his performances. And all I can say is that condolences to the family, that is the wife and child that he has left behind. And Malcolm Jamal Warner indeed will be sorely missed. Will be sorely missed, and yeah, we hope he is in the bosom of the Lord. Anyway, such a tragic loss, but well, all the best. I mean, we pray for the best for the family. Yeah, we pray for the best for the family. Anyway, so moving on, we'll delve into our very first story. And if you've been watching Marvel since the day they began their cinematic universe, starting with even as far as what's it called, Incredible Hulk and Iron Man and other films, you know there has been certain characters that have been so, or certain actors that have been so synonymous to their characters that they starred in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One, two of such characters are, Iron Man and um, Captain America. So Iron Man, Tony Stark, Iron Man, and then you have Steve Rogers, Captain America, and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans have been so synonymous to these characters that we can't even imagine having other actors playing those roles. So with this information, Kevin Feige, in a meeting with the press in a conclave that happened in their studio like Friday, said a lot, and this happens to be some of the things that he spoke about recasting these legacy characters when Avengers Secret Wars is finally done. And not just them, but the X-Men franchise itself. So let's read an article that was published in the Variety that says that Marvel plans to recast the X-Men and eventually Tony Stark after Avengers Secret Wars, but reboot is a scary word, says Kevin Feige. And this is written by Adam B. Vary and Angelique Jackson. So in your short, you have the OG X-Men that happened in the very early 2000s, and these people helped help revived, or rather, yeah, revive the the comic book movies or superhero movies. Let's move on. And that's actually directed by Bryan Singer for 20th Century Fox back then. And so we move. The all new X-Men are coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and all new Tony Stark will eventually join them. In a wide ranging conversation with press on Friday, Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige confirmed that following the events of 2027's Avengers Secret Wars, the company will recast the super powered mutants for its upcoming X-Men movie directed by Jake Schreier, Thunderbolts. Many of the actors who starred in the X-Men movies of the 2000s and the 2010s are reprising those roles in 2026 Avengers Doomsday, including Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Romain, James Marsden, and Kelsey Grammer. Stewart also played Charles Xavier in 2022's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Grammer appeared as Hank McCoy in a post-credit scenes in 2023's The Marvels. In future films, however, X-Men characters who appeared in previous movies will be played by new actors, along with mutants making their big screen debut. And the decision echoes changes in the composition of the Marvel comics following the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, which involved multiple timelines collapsing and reconverging, mixing up the characters of the main Marvel timeline in the process. We are utilizing the story not just to round out the stories we've been telling post Endgame, just as importantly, and you can look at the Secret Wars comics for where that takes you. It very, very much sets us up for the future. Feige said, Endgame literally was about endings. Secret Wars is about beginnings. But Feige was also careful not to characterize the changes as a reboot. Instead, the executive said Secret Wars will serve as a reset for the MCU. Reboot is a scary word, he said. Reboot can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Reset singular, pardon me, sorry, reset singular timeline. We are thinking along those lines. Later, he added, X-Men is where that will happen next. Feige noted that the X-Men comics, with their focus on Xavier School for gifted youngsters, naturally centered on stories about adolescent characters. They have been a place to tell stories about young people who feel different and who feel other and who feel like they don't belong. He said, that's the universal story of mutants, and that is where we are going. Even more intriguingly, Feige also indicated that other Marvel characters will eventually be recast, including its most iconic roles like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. He pointed to many other major film franchises that have done the same thing multiple times over. Amy Pascal and David Heyman are now searching for a new James Bond. Feige said, referring to the producers of Amazon MGM's upcoming Bond film, David Corenswet, Bond film. David Corenswet, the new Superman, he was awesome. That will always be the case. Feige acknowledged that stars who've retired their original MCU roles like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans have made it difficult to imagine anyone else in their characters' shoes. But it isn't an impossible task. I think it's hard for anybody to do that when an actor has done such a great role. He said, how are they going to ever replace Sean Connery as Bond? Right. At least two legacy actors who may still yet appear in the MCU as well, asked about his plans for a follow up to the Marvel's 2024 blockbuster Deadpool and Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Feige, in typical fashion, made no definitive statements, but also did not close off any possibilities. I think there is more fun to be had with both of those characters, he said, but we'll see where. And that ends the article for the possible recasting of these legacy characters and X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Marvel, I mean, have been the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been in existence for about 15 years, or I think even more, and they've done so well to be able to create a cinematic universe which otherwise wasn't even thought possible on the silver screen. And they've done it so well that some actors have become synonymous to the roles that they play that it becomes very difficult to imagine them as to imagine those characters to be taken on by other actors. But whether we like it or not, it's been successfully done in other franchises, and Marvel is looking to do same. Just as he stated, it's been done for James Bond over the years. It's been done for Superman. Even other characters that he didn't state, like the Joker, has been done over the years from uh, Romero from the very first TV series of Batman to just George Romero to now where we had Joaquin Phoenix, embodying the role. Even at the point of Heath Ledger, nobody thought anybody could do same, and even win an award with it. And Joaquin Phoenix did for Joker. So in as much as we may find it difficult that these roles can may be difficult to be embodied by some other people else, it becomes it's we should understand that it is possible for someone else to embody the role even better than those previous actors who have done it. No disrespect to them, but it is an evolving art, and people sometimes get better. People are more gifted to adapt to the roles, and depending on the timelines and the director who may take upon the particular franchises that they are in, they may shine even brighter than what Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans have done. And no two ways about that. They've done very well. But just as he said, the Secret Wars story will help them find a leeway to finally round up all those timelines and the multiverses in order to create a new or brand new, in a way, in a fashion, of the MCU. He stated that it's not a reboot by a reset, but I mean, looking at what is going to be happening, it may be a soft reboot, but all the same, it's going to be an entirely new phase for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, introducing new characters, not entirely completely new characters, because some of the old ones would also appear in the new MCU going forward from the X-Men saga. So if you read other articles, they have a lot of within the X-Men itself will be a lot of layered faces that would form a different pattern for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of which I believe they'll be announcing perhaps soon when that happens, and this will be the phase 7 of the MCU. But talking about X-Men, there's been a good news on that front as well, and that is the hiring of X-Men director who is in the person of Jake Schreier. So for those who have watched the Thunderbolts, Jake Schreier did a good job with that, and as a result of that, they have tapped him to direct the X-Men. And this is captured in a superhero hype on the Yahoo Entertainment's website, and it says that X-Men MCU movie gets a major update. It's all starting now. And it reads that Feige has shared an update regarding the X-Men MCU movie. Marvel Studios is currently working on an MCU movie that is expected to arrive after Avengers Doomsday, which is currently in production, and Avengers Secret Wars. Both Avengers movies are being directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, also known as the Russo brothers. In May, Deadline reported that Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier was the top choice to direct the X-Men film. What did Kevin Feige say about the X-Men movie? The per comic book, Feige confirmed that Schreier will indeed be directing X-Men. It's official. Jake Schreier is doing X-Men for us, and we are very, very lucky. Feige said, and we are very, very lucky to have him, and very excited to have him. And so we are beginning. So we are beginning. It's all starting now. The script's underway. Jake's an incredibly smart guy, and he's an incredibly talented filmmaker. We had a great experience with him on Thunderbolts, and if you saw that movie, what he did with those character interactions, he also has his pulse on, shall we say, a younger demographic. He's younger than me for sure, but he's tapped into that in a way that I think was important for Thunderbolts, much more important for X-Men. Because X-Men, as it was in the comics, will be a very youth-oriented, focused, and cast movie. And so that's what we have here. And finally, we have news on that front that Jake Schreier, director of Thunderbolts, is now directing or is going to direct X-Men come 2027 thereabout. There's no specific date that have been attached yet, but definitely it's going to be after 2027's X-Men, Avengers Secret Wars. And I think this is all part of the recasting where now instead of the old, X-Men characters that we have in the and that will be introduced in the MCU from the Fox universe. We are now going to have a very younger X-Men, characters, possibly adolescent to maybe early adult or early adult or so that is what they are looking at. And I think it bodes well for Marvel to be able to rope in wider audiences, which they've done successfully. But this time around, I think their focus would target the adolescents who are already into Marvel. But then it gives them the leeway to tell stories that are different from what we've had with the adults in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Possibly even the casting or the recasting of some of the legacy characters in the MCU, like Iron Man and Captain America, may go down further to quite a younger, actors to target a specific audience. And looks like that is the trend now. And I mean, for Harry Potter, that is what it has been since they did the films, and they have also done casting for the series as well, and they went in very young. So possibly in the same vein, they may do so with the X-Men so that they can gradually grow with them into perhaps over 10 years of the cinematic universe. And I think pointing to that, what makes that even possible is the fact that the new X-Men may still end up focusing more on the Professor Xavier school of the gifted ones, or the mutant school, and the school happened to enroll a lot of the what's it called, the adolescents, even though the legacy X-Men characters that as we've seen on screen were the professors and already old. But I don't know how the twist may be. It may be that Xavier may be the older one, roping in the younger ones, where we may have a younger, I don't know, I'm not sure we'll have a younger Wolverine, because Wolverine has always even been is even older than Xavier, in as we saw in the Days of Future Past. But it is possible, even in the main X-Men timeline, Wolverine was older, just that he looked younger. So interesting developments all over. I'll be excited to see what they have in store for us, particularly looking at the new future after the Secret Wars wraps up whatever we have in the MCU as a whole for the cinematic universe that we have at the moment. So let me know your thoughts on this development as to Kevin Feige stating what they have in store for the MCU. Do you think recasting would help bring new energy to the MCU, or you think they should still stick to um, the the legacy characters and the actors who are playing them at the moment? And even there's possible news that Robert Downey Jr. may continue for quite some time in the Doomsday, role, in the Doctor Doom role. As to whether that is true or not, I don't know. Just leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's talk more about it later. So moving on from the MCU into the DCU, Superman had a successful opening, reinvigorating the faith in the DC franchise, as can be seen by the credit score at 86% and a very amazing score of 96% for the audience. And with that has came the fact that they fast tracked Wonder Woman to be made. Looking at the fact that it looks like the Batman will be delayed a little bit now that the script has been turned in. I'm sure they are working out the kinks to ensure that a production date possibly is set for it. But it looks like on the forefront of the entire DC studio is the focus on Wonder Woman, and scribe for Supergirl, it has been tapped to write that of Wonder Woman, and that is Anna Noguera. Nogueira, I hope I'm getting the pronunciation right, has been tapped to write that. And this was captured in the article published on Slash Film. And it reads that next Wonder Woman movie gets an important update following James Gunn's Superman. And this is written by Ryan Scott. And he says that less than 2 weeks after Superman introduced the new DC universe to the world with David Cornsweet taking over as our new Man of Steel, Warner Brothers is getting ready to recast another A-list superhero from the pages of DC Comics. A new Wonder Woman movie is officially moving forward at the studio with a writer on board to reboot the franchise. According to the Wrap, Anna Noguera has been tapped to write the new Wonder Woman movie for Warner Brothers and DC Studios. DC seems to love Noguera as she previously wrote the Supergirl movie, which hits theaters next summer. No word yet on who will play Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, but Gal Gadot won't be returning to the role since this is part of James Gunn and Peter Safran's full DCU reboot, and they are moving on from the former DC extended universe era. Casting will surely begin to find a new Wonder Woman soon. As for Noguera, she also wrote the live action Teen Titans movie for DC Studios, which has yet to receive an official green light. In any event, the fact that Safran and Gunn, the co-heads of the studio, have now entrusted her with three major projects is telling. They clearly like what she brings to the table, and because of the way things are unfolding, Noguera has been given arguably the most important assignment on DC's current to-do list. WB and DC are trying to build a new universe, and Superman had a strong start at the box office, giving them confidence to proceed. The next logical character to bring to the big screen would be Batman, as he's arguably the most popular superhero on the planet. Unfortunately, things are little complicated with the Caped Crusader right now. Wonder Woman is next up for the DC universe because Batman can't be. Okay, so let's read that. Currently, Warner Brothers is working on director Matt Reeves' long-awaited Batman Part 2, which has been delayed several times and is currently set to hit theaters in October 2027. The movie will see the Batman star Robert Pattinson return as Bruce Wayne. However, Gunn has made it clear that Pattinson won't be Batman in the new DC universe. That complicates matters for DC Studios. It's unlikely that Warner Brothers wants multiple Batman running around at once. When the DCU slate was first announced, The Brave and the Bold, which was to be directed by Andy Muschietti, The Flash, was part of it. Presumably, that film is meant to be the introduction of the DCU's new Batman. But Gunn recently said that DCU won't release that film in the same calendar year as the Batman Part 2. So we are looking at the late 2028, at the earliest, most likely 2029. That's a long time to wait for the biggest A-list superhero in DC's catalog. As a result, Gunn and Safran are going to have to lean into other A-list characters, hence why a new Wonder Woman has now become a top priority, given that director Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 was already cancelled once Gunn and Safran were hired to take over DC Studios. That particular franchise has a clear runway for a fresh start. 2017's Wonder Woman was a huge hit, but Wonder Woman 1984 was a disappointment critically and commercially. That held make for a clean break, whereas Batman is a little messier at the moment. DC can use Supergirl next year and presumably Wonder Woman in 2027 to help build out the new DCU, giving it a solid foundation while building of to the reveal of a new Batman in the coming years. Certainly, Warner Brothers and Gunn would like to have a new Batman in the DCU sooner, but that's not the hand they were dealt. So it's Diana Prince to the rescue. The new Wonder Woman movie doesn't have release date, but stay tuned. And there you have it. So good news all around for the two biggest comic book studios, that is Marvel and then DCU, particularly for DCU, having for DC Studios having had the DCU not perform so well, but have had a good start critically for the Creature Commandos that was released, the animated series that was released on HBO Max, and now Superman. So it is of no surprise that having done such a good work on Supergirl, which I'm sure when they read the script, they liked it. And not only that, but prior to Supergirl, Anna Noguera did write for Teen Titans, which is going to be a possible live action series, I think. And then I think another project as well. So for for DC now, it looks like Anna Noguera is a force to reckon with, and she would indeed be in the DC universe for quite a long time to help pen scripts and all that. And I think with Gunn being a writer himself and a director and a producer all in one, he has a pause, the right pause or good eye for a good script. So I'm sure for him to entrust her to write this particular, to write three scripts for three different projects in the DCU speaks volumes of her capability as a writer. And that indeed bodes well for the cinematic universe they are trying to build in. Because I'm sure James Gunn is looking for certain sensibilities that would work well within the pantheon of characters they are building for their cinematic universe. And just as James Gunn has said, all stories won't have the same tone. So I'm sure for Nana, who perhaps may have certain diversity of skill sets when it comes to writing, is perhaps a good complement writer for to James Gunn in the DCU, and I'm sure it's going to work out well. Writing for Supergirl is a plus to bring about female writers who can properly flesh out the the Supergirl. It doesn't mean a male writer can't do same, but I'm sure it depends on how strong her writing ability is, and I'm sure that is why she's been brought on to write for this. And I'm sure she might have done so much of a good work on the Supergirl script because I think they are still shooting or they just finished shooting the Supergirl movie itself. So the script, I believe, was so good enough, just as the policy of James Gunn has been that they are not moving on to developing or shooting any film until the scripts are he's satisfied with the script. So meaning that until the script is meets his standard, nobody, I mean, they are not moving on or they are not greenlighting any project. And for her to have done a good job with Supergirl speaks to the fact that she's going to do a good job with Wonder Woman as well. So I'm sure a lot of people, DC fans, are excited about this. The only downside to the whole cinematic universe they are building is not having Batman coming as early as people would have wanted to, seeing the fact that he actually hails from the planet as compared to Clark Kent and um, Supergirl, who are from Krypton. So I'm sure there's a lot in the offing. But let's check out why. I mean, for those who may not know, Anna Noguera herself, though a screenwriter, also happens to be an actress. And honestly, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. And here it says that Anna Noguera is an American actress, a playwright, and screenwriter. So it speaks to her experience as well as a filmmaker. And the exciting thing is that I don't know, they don't have an actress for Wonder Woman. Perhaps they may have to consider casting her as a Wonder Woman, and she already looks like a Wonder Woman. Maybe James Gunn, I don't know. I'm sure they may not do so, but it will be very interesting to cast her as the Wonder Woman for the DCU because she looks like her. I mean, she looks like someone who can embody Wonder Woman. You know, um, personally, I haven't watched her. I don't remember seeing her, but she's been around for a long time. And let's check her filmography. She's done some interesting work, you know. So she, with her filmography, I think these are she's written some short films and she starred in the short films as well. And so from Sarah Plus D Never Here We Win, Supergirl, it's interesting. And then she's also written some plays as a playwright. She's done empathy tracks and then which way to the stage. So she's been very active over the years. And then in television, she's starred in several roles from the Batteries Down, Baby Daddy, Blue Bloods, you know, Hightown. So she's been very, very active and in terms of acting as well. So I don't know, maybe James Gunn may want to consider, you know, casting her as maybe DC's Wonder Woman. You know, it would be quite interesting to have a, play that role as well. But I think, albeit if she's been given the role to play, I'm sure she being the writer, she may be able to even, you know, play it so well. We may even wonder whether, you know, I mean, it's amazing, but I'm sure that's not going to happen. It's just, a wish dream. Seeing the fact that she's a writer and also an actress, that's what came to mind. So let me know your thoughts on this particular story, whether you think it's a good thing to have Anna Noguera, to continue to write for Wonder Woman, seeing the fact that we've not watched Supergirl yet. But I think knowing James Gunn and he being a very good director, I'm sure he wouldn't have tapped her if she wasn't that good. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And possibly, do you think she being an actress, it wouldn't be bad to cast her as Wonder Woman to see what she can also bring to bear? I know this is just a pipe's dream, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And last but not the least, let's come to Africa. And in Africa, a movie premiered, I think, last week or so, and is titled Boss Chick. Boss Chick. And let's read this article published on the Front Page Africa website. And it says that Lavia production makes major strides in Africa with blockbuster film Boss Chicks. And this actually press release released last week, July 14th. And there's a film from Liberia. And that's one of the posters or branding materials for the movie Boss Chick. So Lavia, the visionary behind the production, shared that the deliberate emphasis on branding was a strategic decision, especially because Boss Chicks was primarily filmed in Liberia with a predominantly Liberian cast. Accra, Ghana. So let's read. Lavia Production is making waves in the West African film industry with the recent success of its blockbuster film Boss Chicks, earning high praise from Silverbird Cinemas in Accra for its exceptional branding and overall production quality. The Ghanaian cinema giant commended the meticulous attention to detail in the film's branding, an approach rarely seen in African cinema. According to representatives from Silverbird Ghana, the branding strategy employed by Lavia Productions stood out so significantly that the company has pledged to support future projects from the very beginning. Just let us know your first day on set for your next production and we'll begin promoting right away, a Silverbird spokesperson said. We do not need to wait for the film to be completed. Lavia, the visionary behind the production, shared that the deliberate emphasis on branding was a strategic decision, especially because Boss Chicks was primarily filmed in Liberia with a predominantly Liberian cast. I knew we had to up the ante. We wanted to ensure that the film not only told a compelling story, but also proudly showcased Liberian culture on a broader stage, she said. This partnership marks a significant milestone for Liberian cinema, with the growing Liberian community in Ghana. The recognition and backing from a respected cinema chain like Silverbird opens new avenues for cultural exchange and representation in the African entertainment landscape. More than just a cinematic success, Boss Chicks is being hailed as a cultural ambassador, highlighting the richness of Liberian heritage, the beauty of its landscape, and the talent of its people. As Liberian cinema continues to gain momentum, collaborations like this signal a promising future for the country's creatives and storytellers on the world stage. So yeah, it is indeed exciting to have you know, films from different parts of Africa, from all the countries of Africa, and this is from Liberia. And in Ghana, there's been a thriving community of Liberians, very exceptional people. Some of them are so talented, so talented. I mean, all across board the entertainment industry, they've been very, very talented, and very promising. And it is indeed exciting to have a film from Liberia premiering or showcasing in the Silverbird cinema. And this is what I've been advocating for and been, calling for, that it's time we have cinemas all across Africa network together where one film shown in any part of the continent shows in all the cinemas all across Africa, because there are some good films that you wouldn't know about until it premieres in your country, and it would be nice to have same for this film to travel all over Africa to be showcased. And Boss Chick indeed is has premiered actually already in the Silverbird Cinema, and to receive high praise for the cinema giant in Ghana and also in Nigeria. It is amazing, because then what it meant is that they did well with their marketing materials or the promotional materials for the film. So for the cinema chain or giant to jump on board or to even go into a possible partnership with the production house for any future films they would do speaks well of what they've done well with this production. As to whether it means that any Ghanaian or any African film production house have not lived up to that standard, I do not know. But for one reason or the other, I'm sure the cinema chain was so sold on those promotional materials that they decided to partner with them even from day one of any production that they're going to embark on. And that is indeed exciting. The 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 excitement I have is that if they are doing so well with their marketing materials, it means that perhaps Africa is within that limelight or in terms of marketing on the world stage, and that is what we should be looking at generally. And as a people in terms of production and production materials. And that is what I'm excited about, because you shooting a good film is not enough. It has to be backed with good promotional materials, whether audiovisual or just branding, signages or posters to sell the movie itself. Because most people will not know what's in the movie till they've seen the promotional materials all around. And that is something I'm happy about for this production, particularly hailing from Liberia. And I'm glad they are doing something wonderful to to put Liberia in the spotlight for the good reason of filmmaking. And filmmaking is something we are all excited about. I'm sure that's why you have come onto this platform to watch what to watch what I'm saying. And I'm happy for Boss Chick, which is in the cinema now. I haven't watched it. I hope to get opportunity to go and watch it and come and review the story with you all. But it's in the cinemas now at Silverbed Accra or West Hills Mall, or I'm sure maybe in Nigeria as well. So do well to go to the cinemas and let's go watch this thing to support this film, to support Love Via Productions, Love Via Productions. So I'm happy about this production. It looks like. Let me see if I can come up. Let's read a little bit about. Yeah. So yeah. So a little bit about the Lavia Productions. It says that the Boss Chicks movie was directed by Tara D. Woyon Won. I hope that's the right word. Also known as J.U. Boy and Lavia. The movie, a Liberian feature film, is notable for securing a theatrical release in Ghana, specifically at the Silverbed West Hills Mall. I just want to read the synopsis briefly. Let me. So it looks like Boss Chick. Okay, I hope I had the name right. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I'm trying to come up with a synopsis. It looks like I missed it. Okay, let me see. I hope to get a synopsis so that we can know more about it. Just a minute. Okay, so Boss Chicks is a Liberian feature film about a group of women who uncover and intercept a fraudulent multi-million dollar investment deal. The film stars Lavia Gray and Salma Mumin and is directed by Wariyon Won and Lavia. The movie showcases Liberian talents with over 95% of the cast and crew being Liberian. The film's production values and compelling narrative have garnered international attention. So there you have it. So it is more of a heist film, and that is interesting. We don't see much heist film in African films. So I'm excited that this is what they've done. You know, giving it. I think mainly the female cast. I think as you can see in the. Let me see if I can bring it up again in the promotional material they designed. It has mainly I think female crew. Female cast. You know, and a female ensemble. So I'm sure yeah, I'm sure it will be very interesting, given it a different twist. In most heist film, you have male-dominated cast doing that, but this time around we have female-dominated, cast, leading this particular adventure. So it will be interesting to see how the story actually unfolds. So this wraps up my stories for this episode. Let me know your thoughts on this boss chick, whether you be going to the cinema to watch it and you have watched it. No spoilers. Let me know whether you enjoyed it, and so that we can get a word going out for people to go and watch this film to celebrate Liberian cinema and African films as well. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And I'll be coming your way again in another episode of the Film Mandate, bringing you more stories than that we can talk about and celebrate. So this has been the Film Mandate, and my name is Papa Otu. I'll see you soon.